So I have this friend who believes that, and rightly believes because he studied it for many years, that music, special kind of tonality and special kind of language structure, especially the sound and shape of individual letters, can contribute when it is united somehow together, that what we say is transported to the hearer in acoustic level, on a written level, which prevents misunderstanding. And he also actually stresses very much that the sound is emotional, has an emotional quality. You have to take much into account the emotion that arises when you hear a certain acoustic vibration. And this applies for music and for spoken word. That's why there are good speakers and bad speakers. The good speakers are actually resonating their images because they never speak in abstractions. Abstractions are dead. Concepts are always the same. There are definitions in vocabularies and encyclopedias that lived images are always original, even if it is concerning abstract concept. Okay, the word then that sounds, that brings this, expresses it, is then emotionally colored. And this also is different in various languages, naturally. Who knows more languages like so well that he can be considered a native speaker, as I am in English and German. As a date, for example, I had German dreams. I was discussing seriously some problems in the dream in German. And I woke up and say, well, what's this? No? I'm dreaming in German. No? Okay, so this all granted is absolutely correct, and he's then searching for an ideal language, form, shape, and sound that would prevent misunderstanding by preventing what he calls false association patterns. No? If you hear something, a word, musical tone, if you see an image, you as a subject immediately associate, no? In your style, due to your education and your history and your cultural background. And much of it is different for the speaker and for the hearer, for the writer and the reader. No? And they never can get agreement, and especially in discussions in crisis management, or in political discussions. Wait a minute. Philosophical cigarette must be, from time to time. This leads to misunderstanding. And especially that the language of politicians today is full of traps and double meanings, and whatever the true meaning of words is lost under fake behavior and intentionally wrong interpretation. So to prevent this, he's working on this language, this ideal language. And I say, I as a linguist who has a master's degree in linguistics on a German university, from the time that still this was a serious matter. It was not like, cross A or B, or C. It was like read big books and lecture on them for 6 hours, as I did. The professor and then said, well, Mr. Anda, you take over. You lecture for the next 3 lessons, because you have so much to say. So I did. And then I said, with this education, you know that there is a synchronic and diachronic perspective on any cultural phenomena, as well as language. For somebody who comes into it as a newborn, the language, structure, grammar, and lexicon is completely determinative. He has no choice. He lives in a kind of impressionistic soup of visual perception and haptical impressions, warm, dark, light, and so whatever. And then slowly this impressionistic world congeals into objects that have edges, through experience. And then these congealed objects are given names, like the mother and so on, milk and so on. And he then learns the syntax by intuition, how to connect these congealed somethings, these objects, into a relationship, causal relationship, or time relationship, and so space relationship. So he has no freedom to choose. This is a synchronic look at the language structure. Diachronically, if you look at the whole race, nation, he calls them ethnic languages, that develop, then you see a group of people like almost apes, living in some nature, in some habitat, like here at the lake. And they have emotions, naturally, because they are cold and hungry, or they are pleased and warm, and they sound firstly like animals. This is the onomatopoetic stage of language, where sounds directly express emotions. And then slowly this is repeated and repeated, and suddenly not, for 1,000 years, this goes on, and then there is a necessity to express something which is not the immediate perception and not the immediate emotion. Like, the fire is gone. So there was fire. So you have to express the lost existence of fire. It was fire in the past. So they start to, and then they have to agree on a sound which means this fire. And like the word, fire is shaped. In all languages differently. And there a great question is how the nature, the elementary world, and like the software matrix of nature contributes to this shaping of sounds. No? So from this perspective, the diachronic perspective, the speaking community is determined by the locality and by the hardcore material experience of the elements. No? So where do you want to start if you want to make an ideal language? If you take one already finished language, no, how will the others agree to that? I told him, because he has completely long lists of words that in Czech that he can analyze as sounds and as graphic structures, even to the level of the lines of individual letters. And these he connects with the idea which is revealed by the word or by the sound or the object that is named by it. Ne? And he says Czech language is the best in the world for this. Ne? Because it is a complete agreement between sound and written word, written letters. Okay. So I will have just today written it. If you want, because I tried to understand it, slowly reading, it was almost impossible. There were some glimpses of what he means. And so I said, if you want that I understand it, I feel it, then we have to start from the beginning. We have to have a common life praxis, working with hands on farms or in workshops, and you name the individual objects you use or natural shapes, and you explain it on the spot what you mean for each work individually, and we can draw the lines, we can move hands with the lines, we can search for the emotion connected with it. And I told him Rudolf Steiner has tried something like that with his eurythmy, which is a danced language. For each letter, he has a gesture, body posture. And if you say a word like this, you have to dance the word by a sequence of danced shapes of your body. And I was taking part in this, and I felt like this is very, very difficult. It is so much concentration necessary on the performance of motion and memory, what you know, how it should look like, no? That you, you lose the reality, yeah? You lose the emotional spontaneity and the perception of spontaneous shapes and so on. So I think that if you would start with children like that, and consequently all grown-ups would perform like this, children would absorb it. But for grown-ups, it's very difficult. So this is my contribution to the mystery of language. See you, bye-bye.